Hello and happy Thursday. My name is Michael Leeserman here with the Trial Guides tip of the day. The date is November 13th, 2025, and our tip today comes from Becoming a Trial Lawyer, a guide for the lifelong advocate by Rick Friedman. Here to read the tip is Rick Friedman himself. Welcome, Rick. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael. Um, Reading books and articles, attending CLE workshops, and watching videos will expose you to more trial technique options than a busy lawyer could ever encounter in court during a lifetime of practicing law.
Wow. I think about this. I think about trial guides, and thanks to Aaron and all the people at Trial Guides, just the number of books and videos that are available to us. And I feel like we are so lucky to have access to your books and everyone else's in a way that, like you say, if I went into the courtroom and tried to catch every trial, which are increasingly rare, it would not be as good as reading the books and watching all the videos on demand. There's so much opportunity. It's almost hard to choose
Yes.
what to pay attention to. So, how do you do that? Someone that teaches so many of us. I'm curious because I know you're a lifelong student. Like, what do we pay attention to?
Well, it's changed over the years. When I started practice, there was virtually no useful book on trial practice. There were some that had occasional tips, but most of them were war story kind of books. So, but I would read everything I could get my hands on, but there wasn't all that much back in those days. And, for me, the big revelation, I would say, was Bill Barton's book on emotional injuries that I think I read in the mid 80s when it first came out. And that was the first book I ever read that actually had hands on practical stuff. But in answer to your question, um, I, so I would read everything. And there's been, since trial guides came into being, for a while, I read everything trial guides published, and then it just became too much. So, and I will say, there does tend to be uh, repetition over time. If you read everything, sooner or later you're hearing the same things over and over, and sometimes that's helpful because different people have different perspectives on the same issue, even if they're saying essentially the same thing. But in recent years, I'd say in the last 10 years or so, my reading has broadened into, I think I said this in one of the books. Like, I used to think trial practice was applied psychology. Then I thought it was applied moral philosophy. And then I thought it's applied spirituality. And I'm kind of in the applied spirituality phase now, trying to um, understand how all this comes together into what sort of human beings we are. And that was what the last book was about, of course. But I think becoming a trial lawyer was sort of my first step in that direction, so to speak.
Oh, that's great. I think that's very helpful to think of that way. And there are the direct trial books, what you do for opening, how you sequence, uh, all those important things, how you frame and anchor. And then I agree with you, as time goes on, I find myself uh, wanting to read every trial guide's book. You're right. It's almost impossible to keep up with all of them. It's great.
Yeah.
And find myself outside of the legal books. I know for me, it's been working with a lot of grief counselors and learning about how to be there for my clients in this uh, different way, like you said, a more spiritual way, a more supportive way. Um, so, uh, so that's great. So read everything you can find your time to read that trial guides puts out. But then, like you said, you really have to filter it for what resonates with you, because at some point you have to choose. Some of the things out there have conflicting ideas, and you have to
Yes.
choose what works for you.
Which is the exciting part. There's no single formula. And, I've, uh, one of the pleasures I've had in the last few years is watching a lot of different trial lawyers essentially try the same case and cross-examine the same witnesses. And you see vastly different styles can accomplish the same thing, just like vastly different paintings can evoke the same emotion, or, whatever you want to say, martial arts, you can win a fight with judo or karate. So yeah, I think that's the fun part for me, is sort of surveying it all and then picking up the pieces that seem most, that resonate the most with me. Yeah.
Yeah, that I've seen people do things that I think are the opposite of, it's the wrong thing to do, which there's no such thing, and get great results.
Yes.
And I've come to believe that whatever you do, whatever method, it's not the method, but it's really the passion. And people would use the word credibility. I think, what does that mean is a big question, but it's really when you come into the room, into the courtroom, um, with the truth, with a confidence, but it can be a quiet confidence. It's with a passion and a belief in what you're doing, you not overstretching what happened, but at that point, the methodology and what sequence you use, as important as all that is kind of like what color tie do you wear is important,
Oh,
yeah, but not as important.
totally. Totally. And, I'll just tell you, my last trial, I got the best compliment I've ever had from a juror. This guy came up to me. He's about my age, put his hand on my shoulder, looked me in the eyes, and said, "You are a good man." And you know what? So that's my plug for therapy for people. We think it's just about technique, but got to get your own house in order. And many, many trial lawyers, especially at the beginning of their career, don't have their own house in order.
So we need group therapy. We need for plaintiffs lawyers. All right. That could help a lot of us. Well, thank you so much, as always, for sharing your wisdom and being here today, Rick.
Thank you, Michael.
Let's take a deep breath together and be grateful to be alive this Thursday. May the work that we do today help reduce suffering in the world. May the work that we do exemplify law at its finest, law as a guiding and unifying force in society. May we fiercely and compassionately advocate and champion our clients' causes. I'm going to ring a bell 3 times now. This can take you into a meditation practice, a prayer practice, or just let the sounds wash over you. May you hear the sounds, let them penetrate into you. And may it remind you to wake up, go out, do good things, and have fun while you're doing it.